tentative budget. There will be no public comment. Today, the plan is to work through the budget with our trustees and then to schedule a public hearing for next week where the public participates. And we're looking forward to that. So I call the Village Tentative Budget Meeting Workshop to order. It is 12:02. May I have a roll call, please?
Mayor McFadden.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Shaw.
He just,
She's there.
is there, and
She's-
Joshua shared.
she's muted. Trustee Brooke.
Here.
Trustee Casker. He's absent for the moment.
Absent.
Trustee Shara.
Present.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so before we get started, I wanted to a heartfelt thank you to Elizabeth, John, and Tinka, and our accountant and attorney, all of those that contributed to the budget this year. I was involved as well. So thank you very much. We really appreciate the hard work you have done. And I look forward to going through and answering any questions the trustees may have. So Josh, do you have any general questions?
Chris is here.
Josh,
No, I don't.
Okay.
Actually.
is there any particular area you'd like us to focus in on?
I mean, candidly, no. I mean, I've gone through it. It generally
Yeah,
makes sense.
this is your first time on a budget.
Yep.
I respect that.
Yep.
Chris, do you have any questions or comments on any of the matters?
I think what would be helpful is just a better understanding of the changes between last year and this year. So budget items that were the same last year probably don't need a whole lot of explanation, assuming there's no real change, but then just an understanding of why something would have gone up or gone
Yeah,
down.
absolutely. Do you have you marked up those items? Okay, terrific.
I have, this is my first budget meeting, so I'm still naive on it.
That's okay. What we're gonna do
And I
is,
went-
I think Chris makes a good suggestion. And we'll go through that.
So there's sort of two issues. The first is we have, 2021, we have 21, 22, and we have drafted 22, 23. So we can take the budget as is and look at the deltas
Mhm.
between the years. Or we can actually look at the weightings of sections and decide whether there should be some meaningful reorganization of them.
Mhm.
I
Agreed.
think for purposes of first time through, given all the work that's been done, I think it's useful to look at the deltas. There are a couple of big deltas
Mhm.
in it. The real estate and property tax line is a big delta.
Right.
The general revenue fund is a big delta as a part of that, principal a part of it. And then, there's another big delta in the home and community service line.
Mhm.
And I think those are the big pieces. And you end up with the water and sewer department making up for a lot of the shortfall. Right?
That is one way to interpret that. If you were to add the sewer back into the budget, into the general fund, we'd still be under budget for the
Oh, yeah,
year.
I'm
Mhm.
really trying to understand the prospective budget. I'm
Yes.
not- I'm
Yes.
simply, I went through it and that's
Right.
the natural, you look at this and
Mhm.
well, why is this?
Mhm. We're prepared to respond to questions. So Chris, you said you had it all marked out?
Yeah.
So Tinka, are you there?
I am.
Can you turn up your mic? And we'll start to respond. Go ahead, Chris.
So on 2411 is, this is on the revenue part. It's the WeWa park membership.
Do you want to start? Do you want to just start on? Yeah, revenue. I'm sorry. What was the line?
2411.
Let's go to 2411, please.
So just we're projecting $35,000
Right. Okay. So that is membership fees.
Yep. Why do we think we get 35? Is that historically what the Weewha Beach Club has brought in?
Well, it's based on the following. First of all, the Weewha Beach Club refused to share their financials with us this year.
Mhm.
And that is before we decided to run it through the village.
Mhm.
And, but I do recall from earliers that it's in that area. As you may recall, Chris, the contract we have with New York State Pool Management Company has two touch points. One is for 23,500, I believe, that would be one lifeguard.
Mhm.
And then if we raise 33.5, it would be two lifeguards. Now, at this point in time, we've already raised the 23. We've got the 17,000 in membership fees to date. And we're making a deal which we'll sign at the next meeting with the camp. That's $5,000. And then we're going to apply the $1,000 fee from the second year agreement with the Weewha Boat and Fishing Club. So we're already at that point. And I actually had a meeting with the Weewha Park Committee this morning. And we're very confident that we can get the 35, which is about an additional 10 or something thousand of memberships moving forward. However, if we can't, then we will use the one lifeguard. Now, the catch there is that the number of lifeguards has to relate to the number of membership. So there's sort of a catch-22 in there, but that's where that's coming from.
Okay, so it sounds reasonable, achievable.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, a delta of 25.
And prior to that, there was nothing because the Weewha Beach Club was running. That's why the lines in there are blank before that.
Yeah.
All right, what's the next one, Chris?
Okay. That's all I had on the
Revenues.
revenues.
Okay.
Paul, I don't know if there's anything that
Paul, do you have anything on the revenues? that
Well,
you'd
as
like
I
to-
looked at it, you go back to public safety.
Let's go public safety, please.
I don't have numbers. Oh, here it is. I have numbers on here. This is
Oh,
fine.
boy.
1589.
Okay, so,
Yeah, revenues.
so when I look at public safety, which is line below
Yeah,
1589,
correct.
right, you notice it was 21.7, 21.7, and 8.9. So that's a delta of 10,
Right.
okay, which is fine. I'm just looking at it. If you go to the one that Chris was just on, which was 24.11,
Mhm.
that's a delta of 25 in the other direction.
I'm sorry, which one was that?
That was Weewha Beach membership,
Okay, we
right? Because
have
there it went 36, 39, 76.
36. Oh, you mean, okay, so that's a
Talking
good,
about the totals.
you're talking
Yeah,
about
I'm just-
totals.
I'm looking at the variance in the totals, right?
Right, got it.
So that line on public
Mhm,
safety,
mhm.
the delta is 10 down. The one we're looking at is a delta 20, roughly 25 up. You know,
Right.
if we look at property and sales, right, it was 1,019 and 2,000, that's 2680, that's a delta 15 down,
Yeah, that is based on,
having sold property.
yeah,
sold
the
equipment.
number of properties we have left and the fact that the market's tightening up, we're predicting less sales.
Yep, no, that's fine.
Mhm.
That's fine. So there's a delta 15. So if you net those out, we ended up at 0. We have miscellaneous.
Mhm.
It's a delta of 25 because of unclassified revenues, ARPA.
Do we know what that one is?
Yeah, so that one is, the reason it's so high in year to date is because we got the unexpected ARPA funding of like 60,000 over 2 years that we can improve the water system. And then the other one was we got like 11,000 or more for an EFC loan refund of funds that we didn't use, that we did not plan for the miscellaneous. And
Thank
then
you.
Going forward, we have the second half of the ARPA loan coming through, by the end of, the
Right, that's shown in
Right,
revenue.
so those are small potatoes. You go down to 1001,
1001, John?
which is real estate taxes. And it was 38 to 39 to 36,
1001.
1001.
I'm sorry, we're still in revenues?
Yeah.
Sorry.
property taxes.
No, it's sort of at the bottom before,
Oh,
or the end of the. Yeah, tell you right, you just had it
72,
1001 right
72
there.
or something.
Those are appropriations.
No, general,
Like line
go up
72.
further.
oh, I'm sorry, here you go.
Line 67, okay.
Okay, so we see property tax gone from 38 to 39, right, to
Mhm,
35.
mhm.
So the question is, and that's a delta of about 300, right?
Yeah. So
250.
Tinka or John?
Well, we took out the sewer department, hence.
Right.
Like less taxes.
Right. So in other words, when we started our sewer fund this year,
Right, so,
you take the sewer cost out of
Right.
the general budget and into the sewer fund. And therefore, those monies that are used currently to run the sewer department are no longer in the general fund. And therefore,
That's
that will
about
affect the
300.
bottom line.
that sounds fine.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I have no, and that results into the general fund revenue, which is from 4.2 to 3.9. So that's about the
Mhm.
300. So
Mhm.
that's all consistent.
Yeah.
Okay,
The sewer budget is around 456,000, but you really have to deduct, there's one line item in there for 205,000, which is really a long-term expense. So it probably shouldn't be amortized over 12 months.
Yeah. In
yeah,
fact,
no, I'm fine. I'm,
yeah,
again,
That's
my
okay.
first time through,
Yep.
I'm just.
you're
I'm
hitting
just-
it on the
I'm just-
head.
I'm just looking at
You're
what
hitting the nail on the head, my
deltas
friend.
are.
All right.
And if I look at general fund revenues, from your perspective, are there any numbers here that look like they should be paid attention to because they're in sync? It makes perfect sense.
Do you feel there's anything that sticks out to you
No.
of concern?
No,
Okay.
okay,
All
well,
right.
I'm good with that page.
Thank you. Okay, now that we're going to go to appropriations, I'll start with you again, Chris.
The,
Did you get a tan, Chris?
no,
You look very, very sunburned.
Huh.
Very handsome.
oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Quick or
There's
total
equipment.
contract
which
or
is
clothing?
Small amount, more the contract, I think. We're going up from 28 to 43.
Okay.
Right.
Can you tell me the line you kind of faded out? I didn't hear what.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, he's wondering,
1640.40A.
yeah, why it's gone up from 28.9 to 43. What is the additional expense?
We doubled the cost of gasoline.
Right, yeah, we
Yeah,
figured,
inflation.
we
Okay.
figured with the gasoline prices, we better double up, unfortunately.
Okay.
And that will, I'll tell everyone now also that we've allocated 200, the DPW allocated $200,000 for two things, potholes and new paving. And you can guarantee that the 20,000 is for potholes, and the balance of 180, we're not going to get the same value. We're not going to get the same number of miles because of oil, and the cost of the blacktopping is going to be higher. And therefore, instead of potentially, paving 4 miles, we probably will get 3 for the same price. That's just a guess. But we did double the cost of the fuel.
Yeah, to look at the shared service total, it went from 87 to 95 to 95. So
Mhm.
that's absorbed in the total
Mhm.
because building repair went from 15 to 5. okay? And that's principally.
Correct.
You know, so it didn't, you know, Chris, when I looked at it, that didn't stand out as, you know, I think it's an interesting pickup that we picked up the higher gas price there. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Don't want to overlook that.
Yeah, that was Tinka's, and fortunately, it's true. Okay, Chris?
Lakes management,
Yes.
there seems to be a change with, it's 1989-40A.
1989-48 Lakes Management, Pond 3. Yes.
Nothing for that.
Right. Okay. So we put all of that into the water fund because we're going to be working on all 3 lakes this year with the milfoil treatment and testing. The contract came in on the milfoil. It was unfortunately different than I had anticipated. Rather than $50,000, which you'll see we put into the lakes fund for lake management, they tried to claim that we had to pay for all 3 years up front. So that would have brought it up over 100 grand. And so I went to the attorney yesterday and, you know, had them rewrite it so that we paid it, amortize it over the 3 years of treatment. And the company was gracious enough to accommodate us. And so when we get to the lakes management session, lake management section in the water department, I will explain what that's made up of.
Great.
Okay, all right. And we'll stand by till then. I 3120-10A, just the police services. It's like 3 lines down from the lakes.
Got it.
One down.
Police gate or contractual?
Service.
Oh, police service.
Yeah,
Okay.
797 versus 836. So it went down. And
By 40 grand.
yeah, I just don't want to guess as to why that is.
Well,
I have
what was that,
assumptions,
gentlemen and ladies?
but
That line item is payroll for the police department. I don't know why, specifically why there's a.
Well, because Tayback,
Because we're not a
left.
sergeant.
Right.
and so,
Minus the sergeant.
right,
So this is more realistic as if we didn't have, and I do know that the chief put in a percentage raise, which is included in this budget,
And
and which the trustees agreed on in principle last week.
Yeah, so that's great. That Tayback's finally off our back.
Yes, that's true.
yeah.
Done.
So, yeah, just so I'm clear, make sure everybody understands. So we're going to hire somebody else,
at a lower
But-
rate.
but it's not going to be a sergeant. It's going to
That's
be. a
correct.
And that is
police officer, so
also,
it'll be lower
in-
rate.
the chief put that in his
Yeah,
budget
and
as
then
well.
Did he also put, I know he did, I'm sure he did. I just want to make sure that some form of back pay for the last 2 years without contract.
Yes, I
'Cause
believe he
there-
put in 3%.
Okay, there's going to be some type of, we haven't figured it out yet.
And
There's
that-
gonna be
and
some
that-
type of.
Right, and when we have the
Compensation.
final agreement, that'll come together and we can make any adjustment necessary.
Perfect.
That's a very good point, and I think they did do that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. just wanna
Okay.
make sure. I'm
Chris?
sure they did too.
Any
Uh,
others on?
Police contractual
Mhm,
up to 97,000 from 82.5. So
mhm.
there's a, $14,500 increase. Just,
What line is that?
oh, I'm sorry. It's,
I don't-
3121.01.
yeah,
Police contractual,
82 to 83 to 97.
it's 82 to 97. So there's an additional
15 roughly.
$1,000 in there. Guys, do you recall?
I have to look at the police.
Pardon?
I have to look at the police budget.
Okay.
could that be the license plate gate?
I think
Would
that-
that be under control?
I think that includes
Contractual?
things like Orange and Rockland, and so all of those we're expecting to go up because of the increase in fuel prices and everything.
Thank you.
Okay.
That is a portion of that.
Yeah,
And we could,
Reader as a separate.
item.
Okay.
So we can get back to everyone on what else makes up that 15 grand.
Okay.
But part of it is Orange and Rockland electrical fees. And we have that under contractual, right?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it for police.
Okay, make a note that we're going to get back to everybody on the, on what's in that exactly.
511020A.
51, 10, 20,
Street maintenance
street
equipment.
maintenance. Mhm.
Again, I can guess what this is, but we're going from 77 to 10,000. I just want to make sure that we all know
John?
what we're voting for.
For Tinka.
Hold on, let me just,
Yeah, this looks,
which line item was that? Sorry.
5110.20A.
Oh, because we increase it, because we want to put fencing around the water towers up on Pawtucket.
I don't think this is in, I don't think that's this.
For street maintenance,
No, I don't think that's
that,
it.
because that might be something for water fund.
Yeah, I don't think this is that.
No, sorry. It was some sort of fencing. Do you remember? We have that.
Yeah, I know. We do have 10,000 in the budget on another spot for fencing in the Pawtucket water tower for security reasons, because now it's completely exposed. But I believe that's a separate line item. So in fact,
Hang on. That's budget to see.
yeah. John, do you recall?
Yeah, looking at the general ledger, it's largely tires and repair parts for DPW. Yeah, it's largely repair parts for DPW vehicles and tires is what I see under that item.
Okay, yeah, I assume a lot of these little increases are because we're taking inflation into account. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I don't think that was one
That
of
we
them.
understand
I think that's just based on Jeff's budget.
Okay, I mean, tires are going to become more expensive, repair parts are, it's all gonna.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, just going back to that police line, this is the police budget that details those numbers in that 97,000, and you do see there's one big increase. Where was it?
Telephone and gas.
Yes.
Telephone, gas and electric went up from 18 to 27, so that's $9,000 right there.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
Hopefully it won't, but
uniforms.
we're trying to be conservative.
And the reason they,
Oh, no, not uniform. Hold on. Nope, I misread that. No, it only went up 2,000 for gas. Okay,
but that's all the numbers are here.
we'll come back to,
So.
Yeah.
we'll come back. to
Terrific.
I think it's.
Thanks for,
Okay, Chris, do you have
don't let me
anything?
forget it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Chris, others?
Okay, machine, 5130.20A.
Yes, machinery and equipment.
Yeah, we're going from 50 to 90,000.
Okay.
Buying something big, maybe. Oh, what's it saying, a little individual, one new truck, installation payments.
Well, here's, we have, do you recall that we had, when we changed the truck type?
Yeah.
We had a balance left in the lease,
Yeah,
in the range of 50 grand or something like that. And that has to be used this year, or we have to start paying 10% interest on the balance. So we want to use the principal of the original lease. The debate is between a pickup truck for Jeff or a new dump truck. And we'll be discussing that.
okay.
Small dump truck.
Small dump truck.
Okay.
All right, next.
That's fine.
Yep. Chris?
Yep. Hold on, sorry, I'm back. Next page, tree advisory board. I just highlight this because year to date, it's 10,744 budgeted for 15.
Right. So which line is that, please?
It's 8040.48.
8040 tree advisor. Okay, interesting. This is an interesting item. So I would say that in the past, the practice of putting this in the general budget is questionable. And we've been discussing this with the accountant, basically, and we don't want to go and just reverse it out because it's closed. You can't reverse it out. But basically, it's a whatchamacallit fund?
Appropriations.
No. What's it called, John?
It's a donations.
Yeah, I know. It's a donation situation where it's funneling through us because that was the deal that was originally made. So they give us bills, we pay them, but it's from donations. So it really should be taken out and accounted a different way.
Right, because it's not counted as a revenue. Those
That's
donations
right.
aren't in the revenue.
That's
they're
right.
Part of the general fund.
That's right. So
Okay,
it
so we can
looks like
ignore
we're
this because
that's
it's
right.
really,
But budget's unchanged at 1,500.
Right.
yeah, I mean, it should be zero, right? I mean, what, yeah, I see what you're saying. It
Yeah.
seems like that's something that
Yes.
we just need to fix because we shouldn't be looking at it. right?
Yes, and we are. Yeah, in fact,
But I mean, as a board per se, we should be looking at it in the general fund to even,
Yeah, but for budgeting purposes, it's probably appropriate to keep it. And that's a
yes,
very-
until we make it a resolution and change it.
Just
okay.
Yeah.
because
Alright.
it's 1,500, I'm looking at the variance year to year,
Right,
and there may be a discrepancy in a given year, but the discrepancy
Right.
is explainable by that, and therefore it's a non-event.
and I would say that what's happened is we haven't transferred money from the donated funds to cover the 10,744 yet, and we don't want
So
to
there
do
should
that.
be a revenue line.
There
Yeah,
is a revenue.
Okay,
line.
there is, okay, all
yeah.
right.
So we're
Okay,
yeah, that'll be definitely taken care of before for next year.
okay.
Yes, Tinka.
So I just want to explain a little bit about that, and I agree, it totally should be as part of revenues if we're going to have in the budget in general. I personally don't think it should appear anywhere in the budget because it is from the donations, but there is some sort of technical reason that it has to be a line item on our budget so that we can get something, right, John? You went over this with Chu Yin, so we can be part of Tree City USA grant.
Yes, and that's that $1,700 or $1,500.
In order to be part of,
Fee.
in order to be part of Tree City USA, there has to be a budget line for trees.
Okay.
And that qualifies us for grants and other things that the tree advisory board may be able to pursue.
I guess the issue is that right now it looks like, $9,000 is coming as an appropriation that wasn't budgeted for as a revenue. And what really needs to happen is we need to change the budget to make that adopted 1074 and transfer money from donated into general. Is that, am I following that right?
Budgets don't change.
Uh,
We can change.
Yeah, no,
budgets.
but the budgets in here are fixed, and that's treated as an exceptional item.
Yeah. But right now, it looks like we lost lost isn't the right word, but we
No, it
spent
doesn't.
$9,000 that we didn't earn.
Yeah, we only got
Elizabeth?
50.
Elizabeth, can you, I'll make a note to look into it, what actually went into 2021, 8044, that 1702.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause I guess the easier way to say that is it looks like taxpayers
Right.
spent $10,740 when they didn't.
They bought
That is correct.
books. They bought books that they are giving as a gift for people who make a $50 donation.
Based on donations.
Right.
Yeah,
But it,
okay.
I can state that it's a pass through.
Right.
Oh, and you know
that's
what
a better
else
way
it
to say
is?
yeah.
A lot of that's maintenance. It's not the books that were so expensive, the maintenance. Larry Weiner
Mhm.
Consulting does
Right.
maintenance there. And that's what most of the cost of it
Right.
is.
And yet we haven't done the pass.
My big thing is it looks like taxpayer money on there and it's not. And that's what we
You're
need to.
correct, and we're correct.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
Yep. What do you have next?
All right, radio frequency review console, the RF engineer, I forget his name already.
Where are we?
West Point Red,
8797.
yep, 8797.
8797 radio
So we,
frequency review consultant.
so I don't know, I guess we haven't written him any checks yet, but we budgeted for 12,000 for
Correct.
the current year.
And-
I think we're gonna need them next
My
year.
rationale was that we're going to pay him half this year because we're ready to pay him.
Okay,
And then I reserve some for next year because services will continue into the following year.
okay.
Okay.
All right,
Mhm.
next page.
Next page, page
Um,
4. All right, before you move on
Sure.
to the water fund, can I ask
Oh,
Paul?
yeah. we're at the
All right,
already.
Paul, do you have any questions for the?
I'm curious at the health insurance
Mhm.
plus dental, vision, Medicare. The way it did. Is that because we have a payroll?
It was cheaper.
580, 530,
Yeah.
468.
Do you have any comments on that? Do you remember?
No, not really. I just,
Did you?
Can you
Oh.
give me a line item, please, that you're talking
Yeah,
about?
we're talking about,
9060.80.
went down.
It was 580.
530.
It was 583 in 2021.
Mhm.
It fell to 530 in 21-22, and it's now 468 in 2023. The actual was 550 down to 460.
It was a decrease of 2 employees.
To employees, that's what it is.
Right.
Okay, that's great.
Yep. All right, Paul.
At least two, there should be.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say there was
Yeah.
two
Well, we have
starting.
two
probably more.
DPW
Right,
And one police.
and one police.
Right.
Uh,
and that was this year, and then last year we
Mhm.
had DPW and Debbie.
mhm.
So 4-3, 4-4,
But
4-0.
Go ahead, Chris.
so we lost those employees this year, but there's gotta be the work still exists. And I know we might be exploring other ways to handle.
Right,
that
so
work that's
basically,
done.
we can discuss that in in another executive session.
Okay,
And I did get into it briefly.
Yeah.
But we can discuss that again.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we're
Okay,
good.
Paul?
No, I'm good. I mean, the
Okay.
general fund expenses, however it is
Mhm.
flat to down,
Mhm.
which means we're controlling costs.
Yes.
And then we go to the last section, which is
Uh-huh.
water fund.
All right. Do you want to go first, Chris, or do you want Paul to go?
Paul, did you-
Go ahead, Paul.
I don't need to go.
Okay,
Okay.
Chris?
All right. Let's see. I highlight unallocated insurance, 27,300 to 33,000. It's the second line on appropriations. I didn't focus anything on revenues.
On the water fund, just appropriations.
The water fund appropriations. Yeah, I didn't highlight anything on the water fund revenues. I'm just
Uh-huh.
take a double look. Everything seems to be the same as last year.
Yeah,
Slight difference in.
yeah, we're assuming we're gonna have a similar pattern.
Yeah, I mean, looking at grossly, under special items, it's up about 40. And under home and community services, down 44.
Right.
So it ends up being a zero, 955 to 950.
Right. Well said.
Kind of like this noise.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We'll stay on the water fund until
Yeah.
you're ready to move on.
Unallocated insurance from 27,300 to 33,000.
Which line, if you don't mind?
Sorry, 1910.40.
1040.
Of which page? Which budget?
First, it's like the second line of the appropriations on the water fund.
Page 4.
Oh. Duh.
I'm not certain what the unallocated insurance is, and then why we anticipate an increase.
Right.
It's a little bit different here, for instance, what is that? Yeah, just in general insurance, we assumed that it would go up by 20%,
Right.
even in the general fund, like for insurance, and then that's just,
We have been interviewing insurance companies because it's been over 10 years that we've been using the same broker. So we felt that as part of our fiduciary duties, we would see if we could get a better price. Now, during all of that, we found out that basically every company, all things being equal, are going to raise by about 20% year over year. Last year, there was a year over year increase as well. So we've allocated for that in the general fund appropriation and also here.
Is this general liability? I assume
The
it's not
entire,
workers'
yes,
comp.
general liability. No, it's not workers' comp. It's all the insurances that we carry.
Okay.
We do also have one new truck of a sizable expense that would be.
Okay, well said. So,
For car,
Yeah.
auto insurance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's $180,000, the new large
water?
dump truck that we have.
For the water
DPW.
company?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, water-
No, you know what? That's under DPW. The truck is under DPW.
So the insurance will go up for that. That makes sense. Okay.
That's what I'm seeing here, because I see the Freightliner added with sander and plow. So that's the new
Right.
vehicle we got late in the winter.
late in the winter. We got lucky.
Okay.
All right, what do we have next?
Just a few lines down, we have,
do you, are you looking at lakes management? Because
Yeah.
that's,
Okay, I can go in there. That's 1998 40F.
1989.
I think there's a whole bunch of changes all in those numbers. We
All right.
just kind of go through.
Let me go what that is. Okay, so the milfoil treatment for all three lakes will be about 53 point something thousand per year. The first treatment will be this spring, and therefore I've allocated that payment. The additional,
The current budget we're in right now.
no, the 22, 23.
Okay. So
Although
we'll pay them after like a net 30 or 40.
that's actually a very good question. Because we could pay it now. So I'll answer the question like this. We will look at that when it's time to pay, when we have to pay, and make a decision to accordingly put it in the proper place. If payments come later in the summer, I'll do just what I did with the communication consultant. But that's a very good point. Thank you. All right. And then the other 20 is from AJ, our lakes manager, and the company he works for is Near. He sent me his agreement. And so, by the way, I upgraded all the AJ and Solitude, who's doing the milfoil. I asked for new upgraded agreements for the year. So I have AJ's presentation and I'm allocating 20 for that. There are other additional expenses, but I have not accepted all of those changes, and I'm happy to go over that with you, which changes I've accepted and which not. I'll follow up with an email in the next few days.
Okay.
And if we disagree, we can certainly put back a little bit more money for AJ. I'll give you one example. 10 water tests per year for Pond 3. I suggested 4 or 6 tests for Pond 3, for example, to reduce, and I did that across the board. And I'll show you specifically what I did. And if you feel that we should discuss that, I'm happy to do that. But that's how I got to the 20.
Okay.
All right.
So just to talk specific numbers here. So we're going from 1989 40F, we're going from 80 to 70 because we just anticipate, as you just explained, fewer tests or work for the lakes manager. So we expect a little deduction there. Dam and asbestos certification,
Right.
3 to 5,500. Assume we're just expecting costs to go up.
I'll explain that to you, and it's kind of a weird thing. So the dam certification, yes, is 3,000, and it's 2,500 is what the asbestos certification goes for. We were lucky last year that they extended whatever certification we had, so we didn't have to pay for it. But in case we have to pay for it next year, the 2,500, that's what's allocated in there.
Okay.
Again, a conservative call.
Good to build in fat.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then can you just explain the contingency and especially for Paul and Josh, and I could use a refresher, I'll admit.
Me too.
On how we use it, why it's there. I think there's special rules.
Yeah. Is it a plug number, John?
It's 1990.4. To be totally honest with you, I cannot answer that question because I don't know how it's one of the questions I have for the accountant. Like,
okay.
Yeah. I believe it's a plug number to balance it out, to balance the fund out. I know it's a plug number to balance the fund.
I remember something about 10%. Like you can't have more than 10% contingency, but see, I'm really fuzzy on it. So yeah, I think
right.
We all obviously.
Yeah.
You said you're going to talk to the accountant about it. I think we all need that.
We are going to, but I can tell you it's a plug number to balance the account. And as to whether or not there's whether it requires a resolution or whether it requires, a certain contingency, like you mentioned, but not to exceed, we'll find out.
Okay.
Good question. Thank you. All right. What else do we have?
Halfway down the next one, 83 20 21 fire hydrants.
Fire hydrants. Which one is that now?
8320.21F.
83 fire hydrants. Okay, let me go across. All right, what's the scoop with that?
Okay, so we didn't spend anything yet. I mean, we still have a month and a half. We could spend something. I briefly talked to John this morning about this. I mean, this is a water department issue, but
Right.
obviously we rely on the fire department's advice. And I sent everybody a note a couple weeks ago where, as we've been peeling back the onion on these problems, we have 114 fire hydrants in the system, and we only know of 5 that meet kind of the minimum standard of 500 gallons per minute, which means if somebody's, if we need water,
Right.
I don't say why, but if we need water, we really don't know where to plug a fire hydrant to get it.
Right.
What we kind of have to figure out is what is the actual flow rate of every fire hydrant, and we don't flow every fire hydrant when we test and flush every year. We pick certain ones, and there's a whole lot of reasons why we do that, but there is a methodology to go back and test
And you're
static
referring
pressure.
as a volunteer fire department, you're referring to you guys
I mean,
doing
no,
it, right?
no. The water department flows.
Right. No, I
Um,
understand.
yeah,
But you're the
yeah.
ones that are were suggesting to do the checking or
Yes, we're well.
to determine
I-
which one.
I would say, yes, the fire department doesn't know where to plug in. So most municipalities have a code system where the fire hydrants are marked red, yellow, white, and blue. And
Mhm.
then they know that the red one is the 500 gallons. We don't want
Right.
to tap that. We want
Right.
to go to a white, a red, or a blue,
Right.
or white, yellow, blue. The only way we're going to know this is if we have real testing on every single hydrant and know what the flows are. Then I think that'll actually help the water department, as I hope the board, we can start talking about with engineers how to start replacing these mains.
Right.
I know John has that cutout of a main in his office that shows how like John is an 8-inch main, and it gets down to like 4 inches because of all the corrosion.
Yeah, oh, yeah. That's been going on for quite
Oh,
some
I
time.
know, but eventually it has
Yes.
to be replaced. So at some point we have to figure out how
Now,
we're going to do that.
A couple things. First, on the fire hydrants, we did dig up a survey that was done on all the fire hydrants and pressures from about 10 years ago, John. And our assumption, we'll hand that over to you.
Is it different than what I already have?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's basically the same.
Yeah.
We're assuming it's the same.
Well, listen, even if it was 4 or 5 years off, the pressures haven't changed, the pipes haven't
Right.
changed.
It has an
The
Excel
other-
spreadsheet. It has measurements for 2002 and 2019,
Right.
Possibly.
and most of them aren't. It's actually incomplete.
Right. Now, we do have blue bands. I know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, your point's well taken. There's 2 things we're doing. Number one is starting next week.
First week of May. the
First week of May, we've retained a firm, which is a leak detection firm that we've used in the past. The board approved it already. It's a $7,200 cost. We're going to literally check for leaks throughout 100% of our water delivery system. And that'll start,
Including the line underneath the lake.
including the line underneath the lake, correct? And based on that, it could generate into a capital project.
Mhm.
And then there's also new systems where you rotor-rooter the chemical, I call them stalagmites and stalactites within the pipe. Because right now, as you said, like a 4-inch pipe really is a 2-inch pipe.
Yeah.
So that will also become a capital project.
Okay.
But those are, we budgeted for the 7,200. Oh, no, that's this year, right? We're paying it this year. It's not in there. And these other items will become capital projects to join in the other capital projects that we might be considering for next year.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is it'll be funded through bonds or loans
Okay.
or grants and grants.
My only point to $5,000 and whatever we might be able to spend before the end of the fiscal year is if it would probably be best used, and some expert can test these fire hydrants, and then that might actually enlighten us as to some of the other areas that are the worst pressure, right? So when we're going to go rotor
Do you think
rooter,
we have 2 choices. We can get an estimate from someone now and put it in by the time we approve the final budget, or we can assume it's going to be we can also take it out of unappropriated funds in the water budget at the time that it's appropriate. So I'm more for that. I don't know if we'll get estimates in time, but we can try.
so here, how about this? Go ahead, John.
No, I think the reason for the 5,000 was based upon the conversation that Tinka and I had, that we have 3 or 4 hydrants down at the DPW. I know that Jeff is aware of at least 2, possibly 3 locations in the village where the hydrants should be changed. They're not reliable. They may be leaking. They certainly don't have the pressure that we would like, but they should be.
If there's a visible if there's visible damage on a hydrant, then yes,
Well,
you don't need anybody else.
Unfortunately, you don't see the damage, it's below, and that's why things sometimes don't get picked up in Tentative. So I asked, let's put some money in there, because anytime you install a hydrant, which we're already paid for, they need some piping, they need a valve. I said, put a couple thousand.
Some
there.
materials.
So it's just for materials.
So I'm all for that. I would
That's all.
ask that I don't know if it's gonna cost 5,000 to replace those
I think
3,
5,000 is a little more.
but maybe we allocate some money for testing. We don't test them all now, but maybe we test a certain main, 8-inch main along East Lake Road or something, and get some data, and then
Can we do that? Could the DPW do that?
The numbers that are on that spreadsheet, we did get back then, we did have, and I think we still have a flow meter. So I think we can do it in-house.
there's a way to do static pressure and dynamic pressure where you open one hydrant and you have the pressure reading on the other one to see how much it dips.
We accept your offer to oversee this project.
So, and there are commissioners and chiefs who are interested in this, and they're better prepared to talk about it than I am.
And we should absolutely be as well. This is
Yeah.
a safety issue,
It is,
of
and
course.
yes, it is, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention that,
Yeah,
you know.
totally agree.
Firefighters in a burning house and they run out of water. It's
Yeah,
a
not
big
cool.
deal.
Thank you.
Okay,
All right. Any other questions? By
I think I had one more. Okay, right underneath fire hydrant source of supply contractor, I think is what that is.
Source of supply,
I don't know what that,
contractual.
I don't know
So,
what that is.
what is under
We're going down.
contract?
We're going 81 to
Right.
68, which is good. I just don't know what it is.
Mhm. So Tinka, that's 8320 dot 40F, source of supply, contractual.
That's O&R, heating oil,
Okay,
Ooh.
there you go.
There you go. Enough said.
and the telephone, Mountain Farm, and, yep,
Okay.
Okay, and then Mac, you talked about leak detection.
Yes, sir.
But it's not. It's blank on my
okay, that's.
8340.41.
Right, because we're gonna pay it now.
Yeah, no, I'll explain why it's.
Oh.
Right now.
Okay.
I've used several.
All right.
We have had several days of that. I think it added up to 8,400 year to date. But for some reason, it's in the line item above under 8340.40. It's a little tricky to go back and, back.
Okay.
Change it appropriately.
So that's why we went from 73 to 20,000
Right.
in the line above. Okay, all right. I didn't have that highlighted. I just saw that. Oh,
Not have a
no. It's the one above that where it goes from 25 to 50,000, or maybe not. I don't know. My screen.
I'm a little confused.
One that
Okay.
was 25 to 50, that's where we've got an estimate for 25,000 for the water tank fence.
Okay.
That's a lot. Ooh.
Well, we only have one estimate so far, so.
Okay, so 8340.20, where that transit distribution equipment going from 25 to 50 is because of the fence, isn't it? New
Yeah,
purchase this year.
And we went to one firm for a quote to have a plug
Okay.
number.
And then 8340.40, which is contractual, includes leak detection, went from 73 to 20,000 because this year it has leak detection. Last year it didn't.
It had a very small number for leak detection. So we just wanted, just in case we need to have a couple more days, like the 84.
Okay.
So, and then we did clearly over budget for the water leak detection, 8340.41. But that's where we're going to do the almost 1,000 of the 4 days that they're going to come do the whole system that we'll pay for this year.
This year.
Yeah.
Okay. That
Never had that before, have we, John, where they've done this, we've only had them do sections?
Correct. Yeah, we've only had them do sections in the past when we've noticed there was
Yeah.
a loss of water.
And for the record, the justification for leak detection is as follows. We're producing a lot more potable water than we're billing, which means we know we have leaks in certain areas. And we are trying to find those and stop those because it's very expensive to produce as much water as we are without billing it. And then the second component there is that we have, our I&I, infiltration and inflow. And the pipes here in the park, the water delivery pipes and the sewer pipes in almost all locations that haven't been changed are right next to each other. And when you look at the water pipes, you can see that some of them are broken or have cracks or have plants, roots. And we believe that, and we'll know that that water leaks into the sewer pipe and causes that an additional inflow. And that would be terrific if we could resolve that as well. Okay, what next?
What I don't, I kind of just thought about this. We don't have, do we have a budget line for like pipe repair? Like that we know, like we know we're gonna fix, I don't know, what, 10 pipe breaks a year? I don't know how many we did last year.
All right, yes, that's involved in the general, in the DPW puts in a miscellaneous type category for equipment. We currently have pipes on site and
Okay.
joints on site. And that's what we do on an annual basis. But if there's any major fixes like we think we're going to have, for example, Mountain Road, which is 1,000 feet or something like that, John?
Approximately.
Yeah, that'll go to a capital project,
Okay.
or a combination of funding.
Just, one of those lines is kind of the standard.
Yes,
We're digging up
yes.
the road, we're fixing the road,
And to mention,
putting a valve in,
yeah, to
right?
mention, we just put in 2 very important valves that are between the town and the village water supply, because we believe that a lot of the town breaks have been caused by too much pressure in the system and haven't been governed down by a valve that we've now
Regulator.
replaced and installed that had not been replaced or installed properly maintenance wise for a while. And so we hope that will also bring down some of the repair costs.
I don't have an exact number, but fortunately, the cost to repair a 6-foot of pipe that went bad, the replacement pipe and 2 fittings, is not a very big expense.
What's the type of pipe that has the asbestos in it? What's that called again?
Oh, transite.
Transite.
Like I said.
That becomes more expensive because you have to hire a asbestos monitoring
Yes,
Yes.
company and do some extra safety things,
Definitely.
correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But I'll tell you that incidentally, if we need to replace 5 feet of pipe that burst or whatever with 2 special clamps, the labor is already part of the daily operations of the village. And 6 feet of pipe and 2 clamps, if you're talking $1,500
Okay.
in materials, it's not, you don't even see it.
Yeah.
And I think to some extent, because you don't see it is why we haven't really made any large, capital improvements. So.
All right. I don't have any other questions about what's here except for I don't know if you can give us a review of the sewer.
sure,
Where
absolutely.
we are on
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I just-
absolutely. All right, so sewer fund. The June 1st, we're starting a sewer fund. The purpose of the sewer fund is for equitable billing and to gain capital for repairing the sewer. Sewer fund can only go to sewer repairs. We have been paying for sewer repairs vis-a-vis the taxes going up. The general taxes that residents have been paying, a lot of that is based on monies we've spent or borrowed by bonds for sewer repair. Now, for example, there are people in the park that don't use the sewer, but pay for it because it's now in the income tax general fund.
Mhm.
And there are people, and I'm sure they'll be very happy not to be subsidizing the larger users. And then there are people who use a lot, and I'm sure they'll be happy that they're not subsidizing people that don't even use the sewer. Now, that said, we have hired a gentleman named Ed, is it Ed Morrow?
Marcos.
Marcos. I posted his qualifications on the website. I would say he's, other than Joe, he's the second best consultant we've worked with. He's very proactive. I'm happy to share the information that we're passing back and forth. He's studying the situation, and his charge is to demonstrate to the village fair rents and to make a presentation to the village for his recommendations. And then it will be up to the village board of trustees to accept or reject those changes. And there's nothing off the table. For example, water rates may go down,
Okay. I was
and
gonna ask that.
depending on the blend.
Yep.
Yeah. And now, just in terms of this budget, let me explain something. John mentioned it earlier. Under appropriations, 8130.50A. This $205,000 is a number we got from Joe and Weston and Sampson. And that's the amount of money that the DEC is requiring us to put into our I&I Speedies permit this year for sewer repair. It's a mandatory number. Now, when we're going to be figuring out, Ed knows this, the consultant knows this, when we're figuring out what the sewer rents will be and the water rents, we're going to take these kinds of numbers, like this $205,000, and amortize it out over a period of years, so that the people that we're now going to start a sewer fund, they're not going to be responsible for that number. And that could be accomplished by a short-term loan or some other financial mechanism, but you should know that. So, for example, let's just say it's over 10 years, shared by the taxpayers moving forward, rather than putting the hit on the current set of taxpayers. Any other questions about it?
So let me just understand.
Yes.
But first of all, for a first-time person through the budget, the way you presented it is just great. Very clear to see.
Thank you.
Question on the sewer. You say there are people who don't even use the sewer system, which means they're on a septic system,
Correct.
Or the
Or they're a
towns.
part of the town.
or they're part of the town.
Yes. But they're in
But they're in the
Tuxedo
village.
proper. Yes.
On the right side of the hill.
And they get village tax.
So the question is, what is the policy position? Is it that there is a baseline sewer fee, and then high users pay in excess? Or is there a fee that's totally variable based on usage?
It will be based on usage, water in and water out. And it will be calculated in such a manner that's fair. For example, that doesn't include necessarily the summer, because that's when people are watering their lawns. So you take a rolling average.
Yeah, I'm
That's not what you're,
yeah, I'm trying to understand what the principle strikes me. The principle is if you're in the village and we've taken sewer out of your tax base, right? There should be a reflection that there's a base fee, base sewer fee in the village, and then a variable fee based on usage. But the base fee means everybody
right,
contributes to the
right.
maintenance of the village.
Now, Paul, I can tell you that I've seen that as a method. We have a 2017 survey of all the municipalities in the state and how they calculate it. And I have seen that as one of those variables.
Yeah.
A lot of people do it in different ways, water.
We can do it anyway. I mean, it's a
But yes,
policy-
that is one way to
it's a
do it.
Policy issue.
Yeah,
Strikes me, the
it is a policy issue.
Is there should be sort of a baseline that
Mhm.
everybody contributes to,
Mhm,
right? As opposed to
mhm,
everybody covering the whole thing, but you establish a baseline,
mhm.
whatever that is. And then there be, incremental fees for variances above that.
Mhm. And to give
To
you,
balance it.
and to justify what you're saying, we do that in the water department currently. So, and this was something that Tinka put in, 15 years ago. It's a capital fund essentially, which is just your baseline. Is that
So
correct, John?
So,
Well, actually, there's three components to the water department fee. There is a minimum bill, which helps us operate the plant on a day-to-day basis. And we can do that similarly with sewer. Then you get charged like the water, how much you contribute to the system. And then, as David was just explaining, which Tinka did start, was a capital improvement fee to help fund capital improvements long-term going forward.
Through the water department
That's through the water, but we.
on water projects.
Yeah, we could do the same thing through the sewer based
Mhm.
upon what the rate consultant comes back to us. with.
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, the question, whether that's an exceptional item or whether that's part of the baseline item. But all I'm saying is there should be, it strikes me, in principle, it sounds like what you've done. We apply what we did in the water department to the sewer department, and I think we're in great shape.
Yep. And if you'd like to participate in the discussions with Ed, I'm happy to include you in that.
Okay.
How about you?
I'm fine with just being included on notes and stuff. I don't
Sure.
want to like create meeting notices and all that stuff. I have too many of us.
Yeah,
And
no
then-
problem.
and then-
Yeah, no problem. Okay.
Last question.
Yes, sir.
Because I didn't see it, but and it might have already been discussed. Does this mean, looks like we're under budget or appropriations from last year? So is the tax rate going down?
Looks good. Looks good.
As we sit here today, on the top of page 2 of your.
Okay. I was like, I'm sure it's somewhere. I just
Yeah, let's
didn't
go
see
into
it.
that.
If you look at the.
That's
title-
important to everybody.
Let me pull it up.
We're on the second page,
We're at the top of the second page.
top of the second.
If you look at the top of the second page. This is your tax rate per thousand. I'll throw it on the screen.
10%. It's got a 10% decline, right?
Wow.
Yes, 9.8. Essentially, the tax rate as we are standing was 59.266 this current year. And taking out the sewer and adding in expenses that we feel that we need to for this upcoming year, the rate would be 53.44. And if you go down to that highlighted number, the tax rate would go down 9.81%.
However, there are some caveats. Okay, number one, we've only put in a portion of the salary increases that we discussed earlier in the week. Those aren't in here yet. They'll come in as a lump sum because that's confidential information, although it can be foiled. That's the way we've treated it. And let's see, there's that. And then we have to wait till the end of the year because right now, we have 2.5 months or something like that to see what comes in.
Mhm.
And if we go over the budget or something, which we don't predict, that would change the bottom line. And then if between us, we add something or something that could change it,
The last thing I want to see.
but we're in a good position.
The last thing I'd want to see is a 10% reduction. People take pleasure in a reduction, but they sort of hate an increase that happens the next year.
Right,
So,
to make up for it.
right, so I just
Yeah,
assume
I
build
think,
some surpluses. So
right,
if it's 10, maybe we do a 5% reduction so
Uh-huh.
we can indicate that we've reduced
Yeah.
tax rate
I
10%, but we have
agree.
a little more.
100%. And the
Flex.
idea, one of the inflection points is that, for quite a long time now, the state has kept all municipalities under a 2% property tax increase. And for the past 5 or 6 years, we've never gone above that property tax of 2%. However, we've had to bring over unappropriated funds to get us below, if you recall.
Yeah, this is without using any sort of.
So my guesstimate this year is that we will not have to use any unappropriated funds, which would be the first, a big feather in everyone's cap,
Right.
as well as coming in, let's say, 50% under the 2% cap, which would be the first in many, many years that's been done. But certainly, we can't give a refund.
Yeah, no, but
But-
so you're basically, which if we're 50% under a 2% cap, you're increasing taxes 1%,
Correct.
right? As opposed to,
The 2% that's been in the past.
right, as opposed to we're reducing tax 1%. Or 2.5%, whatever it is.
Right.
I don't, if we're waiting to see what it is, but, I think the message, the user-friendly message is, we're in control and tax rates are going down 1.5% this year.
Mhm.
It would be a nice thing to say.
Yeah.
And
So I follow that logic completely. I will just add this. Inflation in February was 7.9%. If we can come under that, then people aren't, that's fantastic, right? If you look at, I don't think it's open government. There's New York State Comptroller has all municipalities' taxes and their tax rates. And if you look, and you can sort it by village and whatnot. And if you look at ours, we're like at 8 something. And
Meaning?
8.8%, I think. I don't remember off the top of my head, but
Mhm.
you can see that we're higher than almost all the other villages in New York.
Yeah.
I think it would help sell Tuxedo Park if it's like colleges competing for rank.
Yeah.
That our tax rate is lower and we get to bump other villages down.
How, I will say one thing.
And I think no matter what we come, as long as we come under,
Right.
we're
That's
going
good.
to move a little bit.
Right.
But I think that's
Here
just
is
different perspective.
here.
I know.
No, it's totally legitimate. Here is the main reason we are that high. Because most villages don't have their own police force. And we do, and that budget's that's about 25 or more % of our total budget, $1 million, let's say. So a lot of people pay the town to do that. Now, if you take out $1 million out of this, our taxes go down big time. And people in the village want to pay for that security. The idea of getting rid of our police force probably isn't on the table, but I do believe that does affect, unfortunately. So in terms of marketing, like you say, you want people to see that we're lower and you want people to come to the park. I couldn't agree more. So what we need to do is promote it, that it's the most secure and probably the lowest crime rate in any village. And you're paying for it though. You're paying for your own police force. But if that's what you want and you want to pay those taxes, we're the place for you.
yeah, it's a totally different question. I mean, you could say that, if more houses were built, those costs would, we have an infrastructure that has an absorption issue. Right. So that if we built, had we been able to put Tuxedo Farms into the village, the absorption issue would be
Right.
Remarkable. So, but the answer is we're all sensitive to that. And I think the constructive strategy is, we want to have initiatives that talk about, it can easily be, everyone has got a 2% cap, but we've actually reduced tax. We're in total control and we have, this 1.7 versus 100 thing you put out, how we market ourselves is important, but I buy it 100%.
I mean, the bottom line is if taxes don't go down and we took the sewer department out, people are going to go ballistic. So we're on the right track.
Well, I think that there's going to be, it's about equity. That's the main thing. So there will be people that will pay regardless of where the tax is, because taking the sewer out this year and having low taxes this year doesn't guarantee that everyone's going to pay less with their new sewer charge. And then the following year could be even higher, not the sewer fee, but the taxes could be higher next year. In which case you're paying more than you paid the year before. So the sewer fund shouldn't be looked at as a vehicle to lower everyone's to lower taxes every year. So you don't, and because it's going to be offset by sewer cost. And the purpose of the sewer is to build capital funds for sewer repairs. Remember, we're paying for sewer repairs. It's just inside what we pay in taxes.
My only point is, a prominent citizen wrote an email to us and pointed out that she has large property and the larger portion of her taxes is going to pay for a sewer system that she uses way less than many other people. And in that scenario, if you take the sewer out,
that would be picked
by
up.
other people for
water
sewer,
in, water out.
but if her taxes went up and we took it out, she'd be like, well, that kind of defeats the whole purpose. I was expecting that chunk to be
Yeah.
absorbed by other people, not so.
Yeah, well, theoretically, somebody could have a giant lawn and a mansion, but only use 1,000 gallons a week. And would only be billed accordingly.
Right.
Whereas a small house could be in constant use and
For
billed.
kids and.
That's right.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's-
why I said the baseline.
Yeah, there
There's
should
gotta
be a
be a-
baseline.
Baseline,
Hmm.
right.
But I'm really looking
Or
forward to
school.
Ed's input. He's a real professional.
Yeah.
Good.
And I don't feel that we are qualified to make those types of decisions without being informed.
I agree.
So I'm very excited about him on board. And he'll be making a PowerPoint presentation to the board and then to the public. And that'll all take place between now and when the sewer fund starts. But we just don't know what the rents will be yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have to officially set a date and time for the hearing?
We do, and we will. It's going to be, unfortunately, because of the strict notice requirements and the fact that next Friday is a day off for the employees. It's Good Friday. We're going to have to schedule it for Monday at noon
Monday. what
18th, we
Monday?
have to schedule for the 8th,
on the
the
18th.
18th at the earliest.
Okay.
Is that possible for everybody, hopefully? And that only gives us 2 days to keep the thing open.
That's Easter Monday, right?
Is it? Is that bad? Is everyone off Easter Monday?
No,
We're here.
Okay. So if we could make
date?
this a
What-
public hearing,
What date are we talking
I
about?
really love it if everyone could be here.
the 18th at
It's
12.
the 18th at noon.
18th at noon. Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Oh, hi, Josh.
You can.
How are you, bud?
Yeah.
Hey, can I make some remarks?
Yes, please.
Because I've been very quiet. I'd
Yeah.
just like to say this was very edifying, and I think I echo Paul's remarks that you've made this very clear to understand, and thanks to everyone. This seems like a really clean budget. I will say, I'd just like to note that the big change this year, I think, has really been the addition of Paul and myself to the board. So it seems like we're headed in the right direction.
Absolutely. And without you two, I don't think we would have been here.
Speak for yourself.
Well, I'm sure that everyone appreciates that compliment. Thank you very much. Now, is everyone available on the 18th at noon?
Yes.
Yes.
Josh,
Yeah.
Tinka?
Yes, I'm available.
Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees schedule a public hearing on Monday, April 18th, 2022 at 12 noon to discuss the tentative budget for the fiscal year 2022 to 2023 at the Village Hall in person and Zoom. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there is no requirement to
And-
pass a resolution to
And I'm
adjourn the
sorry,
meeting.
The Village Hall is what, where you're
Yes,
sitting right now?
where-
Okay,
yes, sir.
All right,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
No, you can't. You
What?
forgot- You forgot a couple of things, Mac.
What's that?
On your wish list.
Yeah, there's no reason to go into the wish list now. Those are capital projects.
No, one of them is the QuickBooks consultant.
Yes, that's part of the salary discussion we had in executive session,
So,
and it's listed on that document.
okay, so we'll do that. And then we were discussing, so you're talking about capital projects, like maintaining the police department roof and stuff?
Well, I'll give everyone some examples. We have a wish list of things we'd love to do that would be in addition to the capital projects that the engineer has pointed out. For example, we'd love to reshingle the lodge at the front gate because it's leaking and it's ruining the floor. We'd like to put security cameras up in certain areas. But we haven't.
The way the security cameras, that was something suggested by one of the insurance companies. that
Correct.
we're reviewing.
Correct. And there are a group of other things that we were hoping to do. And we're not putting them in the budget because we're not sure we're going to do them. And the only thing we have to add to this, as I understand, is the bottom line for the salary increases. And if you want, Tinka, and if you would like the board to consider adding additional items from the wish list into the actual budget, please do send us an email and we can all consider it. and then I can make a final change here and then present it for the public hearing. So you would need to do that before as soon as you can, like, tomorrow.
Would,
Oh,
some of these wish list items, seem to have long-term benefits. Would it be
Yes.
better to bond?
well,
for
yeah,
that?
yes, absolutely. That's why I call them capital
Okay,
projects.
okay, okay.
But if you have some that we should put in, let's definitely put them in. We have some room this year. And if it's not a capital project candidate, then let's put it in the budget. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
Okay, can I adjourn the meeting?
Yes, you may.
Thank you, though. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you,
We
everyone.
did a resolution for the meeting on Monday. Paul seconded it and we all,
Thank
Yes.
you very much.
Yeah,
All right. Thanks, everyone.
thank you.
Everybody, that
Sure.
was a good meeting.
Yeah, very good meeting. Thank you, Chris, for your contribution.
thanks for all the work.
You're welcome.
Okay, good.
All right, have a good day. We'll see you over the weekend, maybe. All right.